last night I was talking about how I hurt my hand, and I am wondering if I'm going to be able to play games. Like I'm wondering if I'm going to have trouble interpreting the Greek Bible because I can't like use a mouse on a laptop specifically, and like my whole arm was throbbing yesterday and tingling, and I started thinking I shouldn't game anymore, and that I need to start wearing a sling for like a month until my hand gets better to the point that maybe I could start playing video games, because like I could theoretically start playing video games maybe if my hand was healed again, but my hand's been hurt for a while. And then I was like, I know I'm famous. Like, and then I told this story about these girls, like writing something about sun, well, about Sigma and sun or something like that. And then they were like, he saw it, and like, and they were probably like freshman or sophomore high school girls. They didn't look, one of them looked like she was like a freshman. She looked pretty young, and so like I knew that they knew who I was, and like I have zero followers, and then and why would I say something like that after talking about my hurt hand? I am completely ruined by my injuries. Like, I can't do normal work. My GPA is 2.9. No one knows who I am. They don't know that I skipped every grade. And that's why, and then I had people trying to hurt my GPA because they know I'm a genius. Like, which the genius is thinking about video games this morning, and thinking about this video game company I want to do, because like I think video games are perfect to pair with movies. Like if you're doing a movie business, you should have video game business if possible, because I mean what better video game has there been throughout like history as Star Wars? None. So like, is it baffling to me that I can't be famous? I mean, I came up with this gymnastics game because I was thinking about Livy Dunn, who like, I don't know how she's famous. Like even right now, I'm like, you're more famous than me. Like, cause she's on Snapchat. She just got a note from like the pilot, and then a note from someone else. It's like, I love watching you like do your gymnastics routines. And I was like, you've seen her doing gymnastics routines? Like, I saw her on TV when I was in jail doing commercials, and she's like the only hot girl I could see in jail. And so I talked about her once. And like, that's why I think she might have got like famous. So when you're famous, like, do people always like give you attention? Not really. I think, have you seen Taylor Swift's music video Delicate? I think that's where she's like dancing around and like everyone's ignoring her. I think that's what it's like being famous. I remember I was around a famous person once, and I don't even know who that famous person is. I was playing music in Franklin, Tennessee, and someone told me that guy's from that reality show, and I was like, I'm looking in the opposite direction of you. I don't know what he looks like. I actually still don't know what he looks like, because I think that I saw him because someone pointed him out, and then I was like, I will never look at you ever again. And I think that's what it's like being famous. Like, I think that people like really, really, really are surprisingly not into giving you attention. Like, I mean, if you look at television, they tell you that like famous people, everyone just goes up to them and goes, you're dead pecan. And really, like, what they do is they go, but the girls yesterday were definitely like staring at me, and I was like, don't look at the high school girls. You're not allowed to look at them at all. It was kind of like that, like, because like, you can't look at them. It's against the rules. Like, I don't know what the rules are really, but I do think that like you could do golf courses that are kind of like Avatar type golf courses in a video game, and I got cyber pimp here. Don't put cyber pimp on the. You get to be a pimp in the cyber world. The thing is, like, what happens is you start playing cyberpunk, and then like the first thing they do is they've got like you're like changing yourself, and then you like turn yourself into a girl, and you're like, wait, I can go see my character naked. And then you realize that they're using sex like that. Like you carry this naked character and it's like, there's nothing more real than the naked person you're carrying in this game. And she's got titties and it's kind of one of those situations where you kind of want to go hit up the whorehouse, you know, because you're like, well, in the cyber world, can I actually go get a BD, you know, like, and so like I'm the person that will actually let you go get a BD in the video game, whatever that is. It's a brain dance. It's when you have sex with someone in your head because they have a computer program they load into your head in the game. But really, like, I think that like that game uses sex like I'm talking about Cyberpunk. It uses sex so much, and I've ever since I was a kid, I wanted to be able to have sex in the game. Like, as stupid as it sounds. So as I was coming up, like when I put Cyberpunk on there, could that be like Star Wars style? Like, it doesn't have to be at the exact game Cyberpunk, but like I like when I think of Cyberpunk, I think future Star Wars type city thing. But they're punks. But like, I mean, go look at Blade Runner, or like go look at Back to the Future. So Biochemist Spy would be MacGyver. Arrival 30,000 BC. Like, that's like when like Amendia and all the clones arrived on Earth on a spaceship, but then they have to hunt dinosaurs and stuff like that. Like, I think that like they have to deal with the primitive people also. Like, they have to enslave society and make them build the pyramids. So that kind of stuff. Sackboy teaches material engineering, like you know, there's like aluminum and there's like cotton and there's polyester, and there are all these like new polymers. And so but it wouldn't be Sackboy teaching, it would be someone teaching Sackboy. Yeah, I did go with the Cyberpimp. I think you might have to be a whore first, but you might just have a game that's like a party game, like where like you can like literally go like instead of cyberpunk like needing to take his job seriously, like he could actually just go and like have sex and do drugs and stuff and go see strippers and whatever, which is probably more likely. I don't know. Oh yeah, so like there would be me as a child, and the child is like doing adult stuff constantly. Pot farm tycoon. You build pot farmers, but you build a lot of different types of pot farms. Like, you start off like building like indoor like tech pot farms like in your mom's basement, and your mom can't know. And then you end up like having to like whatever. So Moses' spies, they're spying out the Holy Land. Zookeeper during an alien invasion. Yeah, because it's an education program. You're learning about animals. Fashion Empire, you're in a fashion war. Quantum Realm, it teaches quantum physics. I can't see any of those options. Wukong doesn't just teach Chinese, and Wukong could be our own Wukong. Like, we don't have to do the exact Wukong that they have for the Team Wukong. Like, everyone's allowed to use Wukong, trust me, and we don't even want to do the Wukong story. It's Wukong, but it's not Wukong. He's not journeying to the West. Wukong didn't only journey to the West. He did journey to the West, but he also did other things because he's eternal. I'm still going over this video game list that I'm brainstorming because I'm coming up with ideas for a video game company, and it's an education company. Like, it's an education company. Like, you're doing surgery, like you're learning to do computer science, so you're a hacker, but you also have to do defense. Golf, maybe you can just I don't know. Golf's one of those games where it's like it really isn't like a story game. Like, it's not like a teaching game. It's just like I was playing golf last night, like PGA 2K23, and like you hit the ball and you make it go fast, and I was going too fast, and that's why I was like I shot 80. All right, so Reef Builder, like you learn about fish, but then you could also do mermaid type wars, and but you could also build your town. So yeah, Robot Repairman, you're learning about electronics. Satan's Rebellion, That's like in like ancient Egypt, in like ancient Luxor. Satan rebels and they overthrow the government. Muhammad comes back and kills Satan's. This is like a follow up to Satan's rebellion, like because Muhammad's followers like go and kill all these people, and Muhammad's on there twice. Who would think that Muhammad and like the Arabs killing people, like we would ever make a video game where we're on their side? It's like you would never make that game. You would be on the other people's side. You have the Crusaders against the Muslims. All right, so I talked about that already. Glow in the dark wiffle ball golf, like is probably Avatar golf related. Cooking class, like I was thinking about like that bass game, like where you're like a fisherman, and like how it taught me how to fish. Like I'd already fished before I was the age of 5, and I'd fished like probably like 5 times even. Like I mean, because I fished at my house, where I don't know, in Boston, and so like I was thinking about how like I learned about like what was happening underwater through that game, and like I learned to like wiggle my worm, and I learned that there are different types of bait, like bait that sits on the bottom and bait that doesn't sit on the bottom, and so like by seeing the fishing underwater, like it taught me how to fish. And like the last time I fished, how many fish did I catch? Like 30 or something like that. Like I caught more than like every single person that was with us, like double any single person. I think I got lucky with my location. Like we were catching trash fish. Like it was a guided fishing trip in South Texas with my family. You could do a cooking class. Interior designer, like you have a bunch of floor plans, and you have options to like rip out certain walls and stuff, but not a load bearing wall. And like you get to like, you can like press a button and then suddenly you're seeing like the wood inside the wall. And you're going, oh, that's why it's look. So I'm going over video games that I'm brainstorming this morning. And I was talking about the interior designer video game where like you have like a house and you have to fix it up, or like, but it has a bunch of houses, like you get another house and new materials, and like you've got new wallpaper available, and but like, and you can also do an international version, like because this could also be more like Extreme Makeover Home Edition, where you're helping people because you're coming in and renovating their house, and they ask you for specific things, and like, and you have to figure out how to do it. So it teaches you stuff, but it's also like you can upload your own patterns, probably, hopefully. In an ideal world, like you can upload something. So I didn't finish going through the list. I think that all those type games, like Tony Hawk type games, are fun. I think there was Dave Mirra BMX that was cool. Pimp My Ride, I see it as more of like a like it's almost like a training for mechanics. Like you're gonna put in cold air intake. Where is it? You need to install the cold air intake. Remove the bolts here and do this. And so like you have to change out the battery, which is stupid, but like really, you have to do stupid stuff like that. Like you need to change the belt out. You need to change out the fan. But I think there are a lot of different types of cars. And like, but Pimp My Ride would also be more like you can pimp the interior, but this game could also be connected to another game. And that's my opinion a lot of the time. I can't believe I can't remember which one's right there, but you can see what it is. It's a really good idea. It proves that I'm a genius and that my age was changed by sex traffickers, and that like I'm not allowed to make money because I am like a serious victim like my life is like being victimized because like I mean I think my people put me in this life so that they would victimize me so that we could stop them, because someone has to stop them. Like the one video game I missed on my list where I'm brainstorming games, which by the way, gymnastics isn't like they're in a gymnastics competition wearing gymnastics clothes. I would never do that. Like there's an element of gymnastics to a game because I think it'd be cool because it's like skateboarding, like you're flipping, like you're doing all this crazy shit. But like the reality is I don't see it as like we're going to an official competition. Like here's the wood floor like with mats on it. Like it's something else. Like, in fact, like Cyberpunk might have a gymnastics competition because like you've got to seduce people. Like the whore, the whore's actually a stripper gymnast. So like you've got to beat all the whores and have sex with more people or something. All right. So I'm trying to figure out how to explain this Child Surgeon in Africa game, because like there's this other cyberpunk game, and then there's a Child Surgeon in Africa game which is connected to a TV show movie thing that is based on this idea of this robot surgeon, where like there's this robot surgeon set up, and like a person uses like AI combined with like a software to do surgery. And the story of this movie is, or this TV show is, there's a kid who's like a super rich kid, and he always plays this video game where he does surgery, and all the kid wants in his entire life is to actually do surgery. And so his parents figure out a way to give him a surgery machine, and he always does surgery on like the dummy, like on the practice dummy. And then, so like he ends up like moving to Africa and doing surgery. And so like when he's doing surgery, all the African doctors like always have to explain things to him. So like they're always teaching the kid because they know he doesn't actually know what he's doing. And so like it's actually like the training of a small child on how to do surgery by African doctors. So yeah, so those are my ideas for video games right now that I've been working on. Satan's Rebellion would be, oh yeah, I already talked about that. That's in ancient Egypt. Yeah, so that's it. I wanted to talk about like cyber horror. This game I came up with where like you're a whore and you're like, you have to be slutty. And well, you have to work as a stripper, but you're a gymnast, like you do gymnastics. So like, say that I had a game, Cyberpunk, and I had a character that, like, she's the whore, and her job is being the whore, and so like, but like, she's not the street kid, she's not the corporate person, she's the whore, and so like, she can make money being a whore, but then she also can just not be a whore, and she can kill people and stuff like that. And I said, like, you should be able to have sex in the game, because cyberpunk, like, you feel like you're gonna be able to have sex in the game, you can't. And then I realized, like, there are games that like are sex games, and I don't know what they are. Like I've never seen sex software. I do know that like boobs have been for show on games since like Duke Nukem, like little pixelated boobs. The boobs in Cyberpunk are like crazy. Like you're carrying this like almost dead body, and she's got boobs, and it's like you feel like you're carrying the body of like a real person. So I think that's cool. So like, would I ever like have like an initial release of a game that has like sex options on it? I think that if I was gonna, if say that I had a game that was like Cyberpunk, I would have a expansion pack, and that's how I would do it. Like I would never do it without an expansion pack, and then like you can have another expansion pack with different characters. Like I mean, you can do a lot of different things with that. It says, because I do think that fully immersive video games are kind of the future. Like I think that Avatar, like you should be able to bust out your fishing pole and go fishing, and like I think that, and then it could turn into that bass fishing game. Like, but that if that's the case, then you could do the same thing in Arrival 30,000 BC, and that's the thing about the future of video games, like. Big Game Hunter was its own game, and the fishing game was its own game, and like nowadays, like we've gotten to the point where like you can combine like 10 games into one game, and there could be side things. Like you could have Tony Hawk Pro Skater in Cyberpunk, and like the way that your character moves around is he skates, but then he also gets bonus points for tricks and for like the things he's doing, like going back and forth, because like he could skate from one side of town to the other, or ride his bike, or ride his motorcycle and stuff like that, or like he lives in a snowboarding area, and that's part of like the game is like that's how he gets around. He snowboards, or she's. So I wasn't super interested in Cyberpunk when I first started playing video games because I didn't know anything about it. In fact, when I came up with the idea for this hacking game, I didn't know you hacked in Cyberpunk. What I knew about it is that it was called Cyberpunk, and it was in the future, and that it was like, I saw it as like Star Wars, but like more punk and more like real, instead of like using the Force and stuff. Because like there are different settings, and once you have built the setting in a video game format, you can use it. And building the Cyberpunk setting, similar to building like Star Wars planets. Like I have built this planet, and once you build that planet, like Pandora is a planet, and like that is like an environment, and that is an environment that can look so many different ways based on the fact that it's there, because there are different types of architecture that could sprout up there. And so, but Star Wars has a certain type of architecture, and Cyberpunk has a certain type of architecture. And like when I talk about building different games around a certain type of environment, like I'm talking about like making it so that like you can have a fishing game or like a hunting game in Cyberpunk, which would be like kind of a weird thing to do. But how do they hunt in the future? Like, I mean, they're the hippie, man. They don't believe the animals should die the way that the animals are killed, and so they have a movement so that you have to like have someone there hunting the animal. The animal has to die naturally as an animal, and therefore, like when you're hunting, like you have to be like nude, but you like have body paint, but you are allowed to cover yourself with leaves. And when you kill the animals, like you can only use certain types of weapons. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how like way in the future, like this, like the environmentalists have taken over. How do you hunt? Because the environmentalists are the only way to survive. And like it's very hard to explain how like you have to have the environment. Like this movie tells you something like they need the environment to survive, but like it's more like in this movie, like the environment needs like this movie's like more extreme. Like it's like a radical, like it's a symbolic story of reality, and reality is that like everything comes from nature. And if you understand that, you understand that. So like once you have the cyberpunk environment, you can have skate parks there, and like you the way to get from one place to the other like can suddenly have quarter pipes and stuff like that. And there are different ways to do. So similar to like this cyberpunk environment in which you have like different games that are built around a game, like you could have like the central game, and then you have like all the games around it, because could Avatar add a game to it very, very, very easily, like a fishing game. Like suddenly like you can fish, and that's like an expansion, like you have the ability to fish, and then that by itself is like a form of a game. Or like suddenly like you do like an underwater type thing, and that's like a huge game. Yes, I mean clearly like you can. So I don't know. I think that like once you do like ancient Thebes, which is like Luxor, Egypt, you do it, and people have done it. I mean, I don't know what like Assassin's Creed looks like, but I know they kind of did do it, and I assume they actually tried. But you never know. Like, I mean, I know Spider-Man did New York City. And it's like, once you build like cyber architecture, and especially if you do it as good as Cyberpunk, I mean, Cyberpunk's not even on my screen, but Avatar's good. I mean, it's my theory is that you don't want the character to be fully human, or else you're gonna mess it up. Like, or if you are having them as human, you want them to be like kind of eclectic. Like you want them to be the God of War guy with war paint, because the moment you have white skin color, it's not gonna look right. And it's similar with like I think animals with fur. Like you don't want to do fur as much. Like it's better to do like rhinos and stuff like that. But you don't actually have to do realistic games. But like they're the realistic games, and then they're not realistic games. And like you can do cyberpunk cooking classes, and you can do which is more Star Wars. It's no longer cyberpunk; it's Star Wars. Because I do think like I'd rather have it more futuristic than cyberpunk. Cyberpunk's not quite as futuristic as I want it to be, but the characters are futuristic, and I think the vehicles are kind of futuristic. I don't know how futuristic the weapons are. The tech's futuristic, like they're cyborgs, and so yeah. But like you could skate in ancient Luxor. Like you have no idea what that place was actually like, because it's like space. Like it's the same thing with like the Africa game. Like once you build like a Nigeria game, the game isn't only like he's doing robot surgery. The game is he's going around his town in Nigeria or something like that, wherever he's staying. But he can go to different places in Africa also, because like basically like he just takes his robot to major cities, and then the doctors kind of oversee him as he does all these surgeries. Yeah. So these are education programs, but they're also cool. I feel like I've talked enough. Bye. I feel like if we want a futuristic society, then like we have to figure out like intellectual property laws, because like, am I not allowed to have a skateboarding game because Tony Hawk exists, and am I not allowed to have a BMX game because Dave Mirra BMX exists, and am I not allowed to have like all these different games because the other games exist, or am I not allowed to use bikes to get around because like say that I'm doing a Rival 30,000 BC. Like, I want to go from one place to another, which is a very common thing, like like in the type of games that are out nowadays. Like you have to traverse a map, like you have to move around like an area, versus like, you know, your Super Mario, boom, you know, and then you like Mario did get hard, right? You die in the castle part. I don't know. So. But like what I'm trying to think of is like how do you get around in like ancient Luxor, and I'd rather have like BMX jumps and stuff like that, because like they're doing all this construction work, and like you can jump off the jumps, and like I see it as like you get more you get points to like experience points and stuff like that, and like the only way to play as an expert is by like BMXing or riding a motorcycle and doing tricks on a motorcycle, or doing tricks on a skateboard, or like if you're in Cyberpunk and you're doing cyber horror and you're the gay whore, what kind of device do you use to get around? He has rollerblades. Yes, he has rollerblades, but his rollerblades are super cool. All right, so like if you're the male character, like, do you get points for like doing gay sex in cyber horror? The answer is like I would do gay sex, but then you might want to like skip the sex part, because like you can like agree to have sex with someone and not actually do the sex part, and that's kind of how the game works. Like, and I similarly, I don't think you have to actually like pull out take off your character's clothes when they're doing gymnastics or stripping. But I do think probably like you do want to make sure you end with that at least, like because your clients will get mad. But like I really do think that like what happens is like your character eventually transitions to more of like a killing people, hacking, like because she has to free herself from being a whore first, because like she's a slave. And so like she has to fight her captors, but she doesn't know who her captors are. But she does know that she's a whore because she's a slave. So there's this level called A Cut Above on Sackboy. It's when the game starts getting interesting, right? The game starts changing a little bit. It's pretty interesting. So these reviewers of online games, like, do I think that they're game developers a lot of the time? Like, that's what it seems like to me. Like, I mean, I don't know how they choose like the one or two videos that you watch, but like I think that like I'm not trying to go after this guy specifically, but like I do know that they're probably game developers. Why? Well, the story wasn't completely fleshed out. Like I really do think the story wasn't really as gripping as like it could have been. Like really, like you should have like had something more like compelling about the story to get me more like engrossed in your story. Because like only a video game developer knows we just need to get you more engrossed in the story. Because like the reality is like what is my story right now? Well, you really need to capture those orbs, like it's like it's completely silly. Like, but the story is good on Little Big Planet, or it's Sackboy. But I've never. There are very few video games that have like that story where you're like, oh, like God of War. Like, we know his son. It's like a beautiful story of about his son. But the reality is, like, I think God of War's the shit because the way the controls are, the way the game looks. Like, I'm actually looking forward to playing God of War a lot. I'm probably gonna try to download it today. But like, I mean, I think video game reviewers are like the guy who like really wants like the the drama to happen in the video game during Silent Hill. Like, well, the characters didn't even get in an argument. They're not even mad about the zombies. Like, we need to make sure the stress gets to them. Like, we need the characters to be more emotional. I think it's more about I recognize like the need for a game to be hard enough, but then like it's like navigatable, but then it's also like beautiful and like, so like I think like I don't think they're doing bad. Like, I think there are enough video game reviews that like you can choose, but like the fact that no one gives a shit about Little Big Planet's like, what? But they do care about the robot game, so maybe the robot game's better. But the robot game sure seems like a bunch of like PlayStation ads throughout. Like, when I see it, like, it's like you get a PlayStation thing that isn't even that good looking. Like, with this, he was the PlayStation mascot, but you don't see PlayStation on it. Well, I've got God of War and Little Big Planet playing on my laptop now. My other game is still downloading.
You lost control.
That thing was trying to kill us. It's not like you don't get angry.
Yeah,
Anger can be a weapon.
this game's pretty fun. I think it's a lot harder than Little Big Planet, but
You could make it.
like, I mean, it's a completely different game. I'll be curious if Avatar's as good as this game, because like I have this thing about Avatar. I'm like, if I can figure out how to play it, I'll bet that game's awesome. It's pretty cool. At least it's cool looking. I haven't played very much yet. Whoa. So this game, Avatar, is actually pretty crazy. Like, because you have to like hunt these things. Because like it's always telling you you're hungry, and then you have to like go figure out how to like use your Navi senses to like find these animals, and then like you have to figure out how to kill them, and then like you'll kill one. Like right now, I'm like stalking it, like in the water. Like, and after you kill it, like then you have to and then you have to worry about the other animals attacking you, like these freaking viper wolves and crap. I got attacked by a bunch of animals. I'm really trying not to shoot it. I'm like running away from it. I think the main reason that no one's cared that much about Avatar is because like a lot of the game is like trying to figure out where to go. And I don't think they want to like wander around Avatar Land trying to figure out where to go. I think they want to fight monsters and beat the game. Like, they'll time the game. And I think like if you're timing the game and you're saying you're doing it that fast on the first try, it's probably because you looked it up on the internet how to get through here. And I can't figure out how to get to where I'm going. Figured some of you guys want to see this game. It's supposed to be so beautiful. It's Elden Ring. It's hard to play when I'm only using one hand. So as you guys know, I got games for Christmas, and so I'm having like a gaming competition. Like, my whole plan was I need to get used to the controller, so I need to get practicing, or I need to practice with Sackboy, and I know it's a good game. And then, like, I know God of War is like a very well-known, like, popular game. Like, no one will ever doubt that that game is good. Like, it is common knowledge that God of War is like that good of a game. And so I got that one for my laptop, and so both those are on my laptop. And then I ended up playing Avatar last night, and I played Elden Ring. And right now, which one's the best? Avatar. Elden Ring's too hard. Elden Ring, like, you can't, like, you don't know that you're fighting a boss. Like, you can never beat the boss. Like, you can't even fight him. You have to hide from him. But Avatar, like, it tells you have to hide. Like, from the very beginning of the game, you don't have a weapon. So you have to be a Navi, and you have to be like a hunter. And so, like, you have to, like, feel the forest. And I feel like the people that review games are all kind of, like, into beating it. Like, they beat bosses, they spin and duck and they shoot things, and they're good with the controller. With this game, it's more like The Sims, but you do fight people for sure. And you can hunt animals, and and you can experience the forest. Like, you have to, like, you have to kind of figure out the forest. And you have to figure out where you're going. And, like, I mean, that's the most beautiful game. Elden Tree tied it for the most beautiful game, which shocked me. And the reason it tied it for the most beautiful game is because I didn't know it was coming. Like, that I knew was coming. That I didn't know was coming. That game is the second best game right now. I think I'm still going to compete with Cyberpunk's competing. Witcher 3 is competing. And then Baldur's Gate is very in the future. Along with Harry Potter. So, like, I mean, but it's pretty crazy that Avatar's winning right now. I saw it's from a French Ubisoft. I didn't know Ubisoft was French. That's pretty incredible. Like, they really, 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 really did good. I don't know if you guys have ever played Big Game Hunter. Like, you could spend the entire game just hunting, like just climbing mountains and hunting, and then accidentally beat the level. Like, really, like, you don't have to kill that much. And I think that's why people are, like, not really into Avatar as much. But you never kill in The Sims at all. But it's not a sim. Like, you kind of wish you had more relationships with the other Navi. And you kind of wish it was more of a community type game. If you're emotionally damaged and you just want a friend, you just want a little Rainbow Satanica and little Mimi Masha to snuggle, then it's hard to say which game is the best before you've actually played them. Like, I'm pretty early in the game. Like, it's just now getting difficult in God of War. Like, and I'm just now getting good with throwing the axe, which I think is the key. Like, if you can't figure out how to throw the axe, like, you will get your ass whooped. Like, you don't even know how much you have to throw the axe. Cool. Cyberpunk's like the coolest game ever, but I think they made me gay, because, like, why does he have that magazine next to his bed? Like, who would have thought? Like, if you don't pick a girl, they're gonna make you gay. Like, I feel like I wanted to pick a girl because, like, you get to see her naked and stuff, but, like, I didn't pick a girl, and now they decided I'm gay. That's really cool of them. I've already reached the point that I'm thinking that I'm not going to be able to play video games because my other hand, the one that's holding the phone, it's that messed up. Like, before I went to jail the first time, my hand was hurt, and then it healed, and I started writing music, and I was fine. And then, like, the cops handcuffed me for a very long time, like 12 hours or something, and they kept handcuffing me, and, like, they wouldn't let me, like, go to court without being handcuffed for, like, hours, and, like, my hand kept getting hurt. And then, like, I got out of jail, and I was out of jail for, like, over a year, and my hand started getting better. And then, like, the SWAT team came and like, because I was contacting my neighbors about the mafia cloning Shauna Ray and, like, training her twins to be sex workers, and, like, and I was contacting them about Rainbow Satanica and stuff like that. And then they sent the SWAT team after me, and then they handcuffed me for a long time, and then I got handcuffed again, and, like, now, like, my arm's throbbing. It was throbbing from doing Greek, and I thought maybe I can do video games, because it's my thumb, it's not my middle finger. My middle finger's the one's hurt. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to play video games. Like, I'm famous. Like I am super famous. Like I meet people like you don't understand what it's like when you're Izu and like people start thinking you're actually Izu. Like people like it's like they need to hug you, but they know they can't because you can't just hug someone. But then like you can tell like they're like it's like they start to hug you and then they're like wait no. But that's not what happened today. What happened today where like there were some high school girls that they seemed to know who I was and they didn't know how to talk to me. So they wrote a note to me on the wall that said nothing, that like I'm still trying to figure out the riddle. It's about sigmas. And then they're like he saw it and I was like what everyone needs to understand that's a high school girl is that like very famous musicians tend to like have like one great fear and it's high school girls. There's nothing they fear more because like you have to understand like I've been afraid of high school girls since I was like 10 years old. And so now I'm like 40, I'm like 25. So like for me it's like no, like I fear the possibility of having a conversation with a high school girl. What if someone sees me talk to her at all? Like, it's hard to explain how it is. Like, I think that's, like, the way our society's become. And, like, I think it's fine that, like, people fear, like, approaching children to talk to them. But I don't know. I think the high schoolers, like, we shouldn't be so weird about them. I think we're pretty weird about age. But it doesn't mean that I, like, am, like, really want to start having conversations